Hail, hail, the Celts are here, and what the hell do we care now? We've just went out and got our first bit of January business done and dusted. As I record the video with you guys at the moment, Nicolas Kuhn is in London doing his medical, and he's expected to be unveiled as a new Celtic player imminently. And while this transfer has been getting buttoned up and signed, sealed and delivered and all the pennies have been pinched, I've been doing the due diligence for the guys here on the channel so you guys can have a wee expectations video, a little preview of what's to come for Nicolas Kuhn. Where does he fit into the Celtic team? What are his strengths and weaknesses, and what sort of impact is he going to have on the Celtic starting 11 for the rest of this season and maybe even further beyond that? At any point in the video, if you laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and jump into the comment section and let me know what your expectations are for Nicolas Kuhn. Where do you think he's actually going to fit into the team, and everything else that we're chatting about in the video today. And yeah, let's just get stuck straight into it. Now, Nicolas Kuhn is a 24-year-old former German youth international with 16 youth caps to his name. He's been playing for the last 2 seasons at Rapid Vienna in the Austrian Bundesliga. Last season, they finished 4th and got themselves into the Europa Conference League, but unfortunately, they were faced up with Fiorentina in the qualification itself and ultimately didn't make the group stages. And from there, their season's been kind of dire. You know, they're sitting in 6th at the moment, and with 16 appearances in the league so far, Nicolas Kuhn has been one of the shining lights for them with 2 goals and 5 assists. He's been a regular match winner for them. Now, some of these better performances where he's scored 77, 90 and 99 out of 100, these are against some of the weaker teams in the Austrian Bundesliga, which is a nice indicator to show that his level is clearly above that of the bottom of the table. And unfortunately, I don't think that Rapid Vienna team overall is built well enough to be getting any higher in the division. So it does feel like he's kind of playing at his limit with them, doing as much as he can. So if we have a look at the depth chart that we've currently got for the Celtic squad at the moment, Nicolas Kuhn is going to be coming in to be the 8th winger that we've got on the books. Now, there's a lot of, let's say, difference of opinion on where Nicolas Kuhn is actually going to feature in the team and where Brendan Rodgers and Celtic have him in the master plan of the overall squad. Now, for me, I'm just going to tell you this right off the bat. Nicolas Kuhn, for me, is a direct replacement for Liel Abada. I don't think Liel Abada is going to be here by the end of the January window. If he is, I would consider that a real shock, because I think he is out the door. He's got 1 foot out the door. And now that Kuhn is in, I think that's, you know, let's just get the deal done. And I think Abada will be moving on, because when you watch Nicolas Kuhn and you really see what he does offer, Rapid Vienna and all the other clubs he's kind of played for, all of his kind of good moments, his bad moments, is his pace is a genuine weapon. This is a guy that loves taking people on the dribble, loves taking people on a one-on-one, and he is very left-footed. He's very direct towards goal. So you're predominantly used on the right-hand side for Rapid Vienna. He can play on both sides, but predominantly used on the right and coming in on the inside with his left foot here to create chances for his teammates or take shots on goal himself. He's very good at taking a man one-on-one on a run into big spaces. Unfortunately, playing for Celtic, you don't often get big spaces to run into, but he is very good at taking those nice little touches with his feet to set a defender up to then, you know, buy a bit of space for himself and then take some space in behind and make something happen, take a bit more adventure. A player like this, I'm always a lot more excited to see show up at Celtic. A player that understands taking calculated risks in the attacking position to try and make something actually happen, to actually be able to score goals. Now, don't get me wrong, you can find him out in this kind of area here, maybe playing a ball or two from outside the defence, outside of the fullback, into this kind of zone where Kyogo does want balls played into. But he is much more of an inside winger if he's coming in on this right-hand side here. Now, as I've mentioned on other content on the channel here, one of the things that I was really excited about Nicolas Kuhn when we were first linked to him was his background at Bayern, Leipzig and Ajax, showing he's had a lot of good elite kind of training, upbringing, teaching through his formative years in his career. And it is really apparent to see that he's had some elite level coaching, because even though being on the right side of attack quite often, a lot of his better moments in attack can be when the ball's on the left hand side and he comes into this kind of zone here, almost as a number 10 in attacking forward. Very similar to Liel Abada. And from here, again, he's very good for trying to play a ball into any wingers or fullbacks that are coming into this zone here, or trying to play a direct ball into the face of goal for the striker to get onto for themselves. Now, as much as these strengths definitely tie into the way I think Brendan Rodgers is going to utilise him in the team and what he thinks the team has been lacking so far this season, he's still not without room for growth or without weaknesses. You know, when you look at his headline statistics, and this is the thing with statistics, right, is at best they're going to tell you half the story. What statistics are really there to do is to show your brain what your eyes have been seeing in the game when you see a guy is good or bad or somewhere in the middle potentially. And Nicolas Kuhn's statistics do show that his passing, you know, his actual completion of passes in the final third, accuracy of passes, etc., isn't fantastic. But when you actually see all these passes that don't come off, 7, 8, 9 out of 10 of them are the exact right pass to make. And I feel in a similar position with Kuhn in this respect that I do with Yang, in the sense that they're doing everything right, but it's just actually just not coming off. Now, he's got a lot of assists to his name. He is a guy that can play a ball in, that can put the thread through the needle of the eye of the needle. Put the thread through the eye of the needle, as it were. But he still does have room for growth. And one thing that I know a lot of Celtic fans love about Paddy Roberts, who I think this guy's been likened to as a bit of a doppelganger for, is what I loved about Paddy is it took 3 men to stop him. 1 man, Paddy Roberts is getting by him. 2 men, Paddy Roberts is probably going to make both of them look ridiculous. It would take 3 men to stop him. But Nicolas Kuhn, 2 men seems to be his kind of problem, you know. 1v1, I think he's fantastic. But when that second player comes in to support, he really does need a teammate around him, a fullback to do something, a midfielder to come up and support and help him out, because 2v1, a very hard thing to be good at, he's not that great. But he's great 1 versus 1, which is much more than I can say for Luis Palma, who I think is now really on thin ice with the addition of Kuhn, because Kuhn can also play on the left-hand side here and do, you know, Palma's got far better delivery from what I've seen of both of them to this point, don't get me wrong. But Kuhn can do the whole inside forward part. He can actually beat a man. He can actually get into the box, be a bit of a winger, and play those balls in from these areas here for the tap-in merchants to try and get on the other end of. Kuhn can play on the left and on the right, which is fantastic, and an option that we've not really had at Celtic this season since Abada has been injured, because that's something that worked very well for Celtic under Ange, and Brendan did try this early season and in pre-season, and unfortunately for the largest part of the actual season, especially the Champions League, these options of being able to rotate wingers has not been available to us. James Forrest can't play both sides very well. Mikey Johnson can't play both sides very well. And there's been no indication from Brendan Rodgers that he wants to even try Palma on the right-hand side for any given length of time. Which is why I think after the Asia Cup, this is the front three we're going to see as the best Celtic front three. Having Dyson Maeda on the left, coming in as an inside forward on his right foot, like we know is Dyson's best position, and having Nicolas Kuhn basically be a mirror image of that on the left-hand side. This feels much more like a Brendan Rodgers attack that's building here. And I would normally be putting Abada in this position. And that's why I told you right at the tip-off of the video, he's here to replace Abada. Now, I'm sure if we keep Abada past the January transfer window, they'll both jostle for that jersey and they'll both kind of, you know, share some minutes. And I'm sure they'll both impact games and win games for us. And maybe Abada will go in the summer. But there's just no doubt in my mind that Abada is going to be going now, and Nicolas Kuhn is to be the replacement for him. Because even when this is your best front three, Dyson doesn't mind swapping wings once in a while. This guy Kuhn doesn't mind swapping wings once in a while. And as we've seen last season, in the last 2 seasons when we had Jota, sometimes with Maeda, that's a good move to make. Sometimes the left back is better for him, or sometimes it's the right back. And having the ability to swap wings, even if it's for 10 minutes, it might be for the whole game, it might be for half time, or just after half, you know, whatever. It could be for a multitude of different reasons. But that's a weapon, that's a coach's choice, that's a coach's tactic that, you know, you want to have available to you. If you can see quite clearly your wingers are not getting by their men, having the option to swap them sometimes is better than subbing both of them off, especially when you see the quality that's on the bench. So I just think that ultimately this added versatility and what, you know, we're going to have with Maeda and Kuhn potentially as a mirror image, I just think this is a Abada replacement. I really do. Because I do think otherwise Abada is in the front three if he stays in the club. And we know the number one objectives this window has been to get a left back, and people are saying a striker as well, someone else to push Kyogo, maybe even replace Kyogo, who we'll see over time. No one had us going on for another winger. So us getting another winger in first this early in the window, I think does signal the end of Liel Abada. But yeah, I expect Nicolas Kuhn to have a really big impact on the Celtic team this year, because we've not had that Liel Abada presence on the right-hand side. So even if we have him and Abada this year, the level, the standard of how we attack and the amount of goals we're able to score every game, for me, goes through the roof. Even if Abada does leave, having Kuhn here in the building, fit and available and ready to go, I think gives us something again, we've just not had available to us this season. A winger that can play both sides, a guy that knows where the back of the net is, and a guy that's got, you know, a bit of tempo, a bit of form. We're not bringing him from out in the cold off somebody's bench or from a youth academy or something. So I'm pretty excited for this one. I've got high expectations. I think this is the sort of player Celtic should be signing, and I think for £3 million, we've probably done a good bit of business here, but it's all going to be about what the guy does on the pitch, the proof in the pudding. So we're all looking forward to that. I don't fancy him to debut against Bucky Thistle. Maybe he comes off the bench or something, but personally I think the time's better spent getting him geared up for the real stuff. I don't think you want to poison the first experience with a cup game against Bucky Thistle personally, but we'll see what happens. Get into the comment section and let me know what your expectations, what your thoughts and feelings are on Nicolas Kuhn. Where does he fit in the team and how big an impact will he have on the club this season? And yeah, hail, hail!